Thank you for tuning in today. You're watching Spotlight on Education. I'm your host, Tina Duckett with the Troup County School System. This program is designed to bring you information about our schools, our students, staff, programs, and great accomplishments. Today joining me in the studio is Chip Giles, and he is the principal at Long Cane Middle School. Thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me, Tina.
I'm so glad you're here, and we are so excited to learn more about Long Cane Middle School. But before we do that, just if you wouldn't mind sharing some of your ventures in education. How long have you been an educator?
Well, I've been here for 19 years, Tina. Started out as a high school social studies teacher at Callaway High School.
Okay.
From there, I got my first administrative job at Gardner Newman Middle as an assistant principal. I went over to Troup High for a short stay as assistant principal and testing coordinator. And went back to Gardner Newman as interim principal, and then took a year in Iraq. And when I came back, I went to Long Cane Middle and have been there ever since.
Wow, okay, so you are Army, Navy?
I was in the Army National Guard, Alabama Army National Guard, just shy of 30 years. I retired in 2010, so those exciting days are behind me.
Well, thank you for serving our country and our students.
Well, you're welcome on both counts.
When I walk into your school, it's always inviting. It's such a family-oriented campus, if you will. I always feel welcome when I come through the doors. And I know it takes a team to make that happen. So tell us about your faculty and staff. How many people do you have helping school operations run smoothly?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. We have, I think, the head count's 104 adults in the building.
Wow.
We have 74 certified, including all the administrators, teachers, media specialists, speech language pathologists, and we have about another 30 non-certified people, including secretaries, paraprofessionals, custodial staff, and also our lunchroom ladies. So we're at 104 today. And we also have just shy of 1,000 students. We usually start the year with a little bit over 1,000 and end of the year just under 1,000. That's been pretty consistent over the last few years.
And that's 6th through 8th
6, 7, 8, yes.
Okay, great. Now, a campus that size, you guys are performing well academically and
yes,
helping.
We are.
And we'll talk about that some more. But I'd like to know how you establish your goals. If you will, share what some of your goals are, and then what's the process in establishing those goals?
Well, you know, it kind of flows downhill. It comes from different directions. Number one, first and foremost, the superintendent, Dr. Pugh, establishes his goals for the school system. Mm-hmm. So you have to make sure that in the school improvement planning process that you're aligning with his intentions, and we do. You also look at your previous year's performance and see how you did, particularly in the subgroup areas, and determine which specific areas that you want to address. This year, well actually not just this year, the last 3 years, we have made it a priority to attack writing as a major goal. Mm-hmm. And we worked on it and we fine-tuned our methods, and quite frankly, this year was our breakout year. We had last year we had scored 81% meets and exceeds. We were 1% under the state average,
wow,
which was 82, and the previous year we were at 80. So we had kind of hit a ceiling, and we made some adjustments. And this year, even though the state average declined, most of the schools throughout the state, middle schools, actually declined. We increased,
wow,
from 81 to 84% meets and exceeds. And that was quite an accomplishment. But honestly, there was a lot of hard work by not just the 8th grade teachers, but all the teachers at the school. But the 8th grade teachers, they really did put their heart and soul into it, and they believed they could do it. And we right at Long Cane Middle School in the 8th grade, and it paid off this year. So we're going to use that model again next year and make some tweaks. And of course, you know, you're never satisfied where you are, even though we're really happy with the score, and we're going to bump it up some more.
Now, and I know we mentioned goals, and writing is one, and since we're talking about that, I'd like to go deeper into that. You said your model. Is it top secret, or can you share what your model
well, you know,
is?
It's not, and we do share with our colleagues. In fact, I like to say that at middle school, all 3 middle schools work really well together in sharing what works. but we do an extraordinary amount of writing. We do more writing than is required by far.
Okay.
And also we this year started using example papers that had been submitted in previous years' test for the students to correct. So our students were actually correcting papers from last year or the year before students.
Okay.
And as they were correcting others, they were learning themselves what to do and what not to do. And they gained confidence that, well, if this was a passing paper, I know I can do better than this.
Oh,
So
wow.
so it gave them confidence that they could meet and even exceed. So that was one thing we did this year that we had not done in the past. So it's a combination of a whole lot of writing, a lot of feedback, students themselves correcting other students' papers, and we had 11 days after the students come back in January from the Christmas break to getting ready for the writing test. We had an intensive train-up program to get them ready for that writing test. And as you can see, paid off. It probably wasn't one thing that helped, it was a combination of a lot of effective things that caused us to have such a successful year. And as always, we share our success with our colleagues at Callaway and Gardner-Newman and Hope Academy.
That's great, and I'm sure that you glean off of them as well.
Absolutely.
So what is another goal? Writing being one, what's another goal?
Well, writing was one of our big goals last year. We're looking to next year now, and you know, we're looking at some concepts. Number one is we want to keep our upward trajectory going. We've been moving upward for several years now, and we want to make sure that all of our processes in the school support us continually improving, particularly where student performance indicators are concerned. Student performance indicators are benchmarks, writing test scores, and CRCTs.
Okay.
We want to make a real concerted effort next year to improve our gifted program. Our gifted kids do very well, and they actually improved very well this year. But I know we can do better. I think that we have, at times I see gifted kids who get a little too comfortable.
Okay.
And they believe that they are the top students in the school, but you know, they're not going to be competing against students in the school for slots at Georgia Tech, University of Georgia, wherever they go. They're going to be competing with students all across the state and even the nation for serious. So we need to have our students start thinking more competitively, our gifted students thinking more competitively and achieving at a higher level. And you do this by pushing them. And we're going to push our gifted kids just a little bit harder next year. And I'm very confident that we're going to get the results we're looking for.
And rigor mixed with resources
Absolutely.
and support,
and
you know, they can definitely achieve it.
Absolutely. And the final goal that we're looking for next year is student involvement. It's a fact that kids who are involved in school events and activities and organizations do better.
Yes.
So we have quite a number of things available for students, but we're going to try to up our game just a little bit more next year. Every kid that we can get involved in an activity, that's a child that's going to have fewer discipline problems, that's a child that's going to have higher grades, and that's a child that's going to like coming to school more.
Better attendance.
Yes, ma'am, better attendance.
Yes.
So those are some of the things, our goals for next year.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yes, ma'am.
And so tell us how your students perform on the state's standardized test, meaning the CRCT.
The CRCT.
Yes.
I'm very excited to talk about that. We just have received the results back.
Okay.
I can tell you that it was pretty darn good. If you think
Good.
about it, there are 5 tests that are given across 3 grades. That's 15 total tests. We increased in 10 of those 15 areas.
Wow,
and in the 5 areas that we didn't increase, we either stayed about the same or decreased about a percentage point. Now, here's the really good news. Well, let's talk about 6th grade. 6th grade rocked this year. 6th grade math went from 75% meets and exceeds to 82%. That's a 7% increase in math. That's a pretty tough subject. Science went from 78 to 83%.
Good.
And social studies went from 79 to 86, a 7 percentage point increase.
Wow.
Very happy with 6th grade, and that should be comforting to the parents of the 5 feeder schools who elementary schools coming along came.
Yes.
But, you know, if you think about, we made a concerted effort to try to have more kids not just meet, but exceed.
Yes.
And out of those 15 tests that we administered this year, we increased our exceed rate 13 of 15 tests. That's amazing.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Some of the highlights include our 8th grade reading went from 41% exceeds to 51% exceeds. That means over half of the 8th graders at Long County Middle School exceeded the reading portion.
Not only met, but exceeded.
That's exactly right.
Awesome.
In math, all 3 grades increased the exceeds rate. 6th grade went from 22 to 26.
Wow.
7th grade went from 31 to 38. And 8th grade, check this out, went from 31% exceeds to 41% exceeds. That's a 10% increase. In 8th grade math, it was very difficult. And in social studies, some of the highlights there was 6th grade went from 47 to 57% exceeds. We're almost at the point in 6th grade where 2/3 of the students are exceeding the CRCT. And in 8th grade social studies, they went from 30% exceeding to 38. There's a lot of other statistics. I just tried to give you some of the highlights. But overall, I'm very pleased with the progress that we made. And it's because of those good teachers and the staff and faculty at Long County Middle School having solid instruction and working very hard this year. And quite frankly, it paid off.
Well, congratulations to you
Thank
and your
you.
team. That is awesome. And I know sometimes our viewers don't understand what it takes to increase by even 1 percentage point, let alone 10.
Yeah, and these numbers too, I give you, were all students. Sometimes it's not so hard to increase in subgroup areas because there's smaller numbers of students. This is all students, over 300 in each grade. So 1 percentage point is good.
Yes.
4 or 5 percentage points, it's time to rent a ballroom and throw a party.
Good.
So we're very happy, and I hope our parents are too.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned several times that these achievements and some of these subject matters are challenging.
Yes, they are.
So in the last 5 years, what have you seen as far as changes in education?
Well, you know, in education now, we're way more focused on student performance indicators than in the past. We're focused on benchmarks, CRCTs, and writing tests, standardized test scores. And that's fine, but I tell you, our teachers are doing some really fun things to make education fun. I've always said middle school students have to enjoy coming to school. If we can get them to come to school and like being there, we can teach them. Just last week, we had some science classes in the 8th grade. In physical science, which is a very hard class, they did an egg drop project in which they had to take a raw egg and encase it in different materials, and they had certain specifications. And the West Point Fire Department came down and dropped it 100 feet from a bucket truck, each student's egg, to see which ones would survive the fall and which ones would not. And they had to, you know, make some estimations of how to disperse the energy from the egg hitting after the fall. We had quite a few students whose egg survived the fall, and they even had a way to calculate first place through however many places it was. There was a winner to it. So everybody had a great time. They're going to remember that project for a long time, but they're also going to have learned something about physical science in the process of doing that egg drop project. Another thing that comes to mind that you'll see in our 7th grade all the time is they use music and raps to learn new material. And they make up their own songs and they make up their own raps. And sometimes it's individual, sometimes the class performs it. This is really effective. And I can tell you, people our age can remember Schoolhouse Rock.
Exactly.
You know, I still, when I say that, if you say the preamble of the Constitution, I'm singing that song in my head when I was a little kid watching that. And so we're pretty effective at using some things to help students learn that are fun and that work.
So the rigor has increased, but what I hear you say is that teachers are finding creative ways to bring the lessons to life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it doesn't change the rigor, but it just means that children are interactive, they're engaging in the lesson. And like you said, they're going to take this away with them. They're going to remember this.
They are. They will remember this.
And it helps with tests because you start thinking of those songs.
Exactly right.
So do you find that incorporating student incentives help students engage in learning?
Yes, I do. I always tell people that I spend a lot more money on carrots than sticks. And that is just our philosophy. We have a lot of incentive programs. Some of them are incentive programs that last a whole year, and some of them are a lot shorter in duration. We run a very effective PBS program, Positive Behavior Support Program, in which the students achieve stars. on a chart by their homeroom teacher daily. And if their behavior is to a certain level, they can go to a monthly PBS party that we have for each grade level. It's very popular among the students.
So this is, let me ask, this is not just based on, this is not academic performance, but now we're talking about social development.
That's correct. It's not academic in nature. It's about behavior.
Okay.
And learning to, and more importantly, learning to be self-disciplined and regulate your own behavior. And I think you should be rewarded for that, because honestly, in
middle school,
in real life, when you adults who regulate their behavior are rewarded with the good things in life. So they get to come to a party, and if you go a whole year with your stars, that's pretty hard to do if you think about it. If you go a whole year, you have a big end of the year PBS All-Star celebration. This year we had over 500 students.
Wow, that's almost half your population.
That's half the school went the whole year getting their stars and got to come to about a 3-hour party that we did out on a football field. So, you know, that's pretty significant. That's pretty cool that our kids have bought into the concept that regulating your behavior does bring rewards. There's virtue in that.
Self-discipline, self-control. Yes.
Some other things that we have our signature events or activities at Long Cane is that we have Cougar Pizza Den. With Cougar Pizza Den,
that sounds fun.
It does. It's a 3-week challenge, and we start with one grade, say 6th grade, and we choose 45 students who perhaps need a little work on their behavior, grades, or attendance.
Okay.
And we get them together in the lunchroom in the morning, and we say, if you can go for 3 weeks and improve in these areas, and you're going to get to come to a free pizza party. Well, all kids love pizza parties.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, a lot of students can't last a whole year and stay focused, but they can last 3 weeks. So at the end of 3 weeks, we check with their teachers, see who has qualified, and usually we're running about 2/3 of the students will make it 3 weeks and improve, and then they get to come to a free pizza party. We do that each week. We have a different grade level pizza party from Cougar Pizza Den.
Okay.
And this effort is 100% paid for by our corporate donors. So it doesn't come out of the school's fund, and it's a very good investment from community members.
So your partners in education are jumping in.
Absolutely. We've had very strong support from the community and from the parents and the PTO, and we use that money effectively to fund programs like Cougar Pizza Den, which I think is a really good program. And truthfully, a lot of students don't get a lot of recognition throughout their school years. This is a big deal to some students who actually make it to 3 weeks and get to come to Pizza Den.
Yes.
That may be the only recognition they get the whole year. But they can do that, and they're grateful, and we like doing stuff for kids like that.
Now, there's an infamous event that occurs monthly.
Yes. This has grown into legendary Burger Palooza.
Yes.
Burger Palooza started back in 6 years ago, and we were trying to find ways to increase lunch participation.
Okay.
So we started grilling out burgers at lunch, and we had to go bar grills, and it was really hard to do, but we did it anyway. Now we have our own grills. We set up tents, grills. We have music playing. Once a month, we grill out for 1,100 people at our school, and it's grown so much that it's common to have the sheriff come by, the board members come by, the partners come by. West Point and police comes by. A lot of folks stop by. We have had board members come and grill with us. We've had county commissioners come stand at the grill and flip burgers. It's a great opportunity to have some fun on campus. You need a little stress reduction in middle school, and also bring in community members to see the school at its best. And it's a good program. I'm really proud of Burger Palooza.
I absolutely agree with that. What message do you think it sends the students to see community come into the school? Those business partners, those adults who aren't there every day participating. What message does that communicate to the students?
Well, I think it communicates that the community members do care about them personally. And I mean, all students know there's a sheriff out there, but all students don't get to see the sheriff every month. And he comes by and he talks not just to the teachers, to the kids. And I think that's meaningful. I think they see the community leaders in a much more positive light. Board members, commissioners, I say there's so many people that come by. Firemen come by. We're always welcoming of our police and fire and emergency services to come by, pick up a burger, and it's a good day at Long Cane Middle School. And I hope we can continue the tradition.
And I know that you will, because for 6 years it's going
yes,
strong.
We're going to keep it rolling,
yes.
and everybody likes Burger Palooza.
Now, tell us more. You mentioned PTO and what they help support and some of your other partners. What other roles do they play in the school? Well,
I mean, obviously, one of the most important roles for PTO is raising money, and our PTO does that quite effectively. This year we started the year with $10,000 in the bank, and we spent that money on student programs, teachers, teacher appreciation activities, you know, and really teacher appreciation. I can't say enough about that. It's a hard job, and oftentimes seems thankless, but it's not. Everybody is so grateful for our teachers in this community, and when the PTO comes in and they put little attaboys and attagirls in your box with candy bars, and this year I think they gave everybody a $20 bill during Teacher Appreciation Week.
Wow.
And that's nice. It's nice to know that the parents come in and do those things, and plus they fund a lot of the odds and end things. They helped fund, we had a really big musical this year, Honk Jr.
Okay.
They helped fund that with $500. They've helped purchase some school supplies. I just can't say enough good things about the community members in the Long Cane Zone, how much they support our school, and they're there for us at all times.
Well, that is wonderful. What about other faith-based volunteers? Do they come in as well?
Well, it's been off and on throughout the years. Hadn't seen as much this year. I don't know. We're always eager to have volunteers come into the school. We do have a really strong partnership for our FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Yes.
And we do have good speakers that come in the morning. This is a student-led organization. They do plan out the activities. So real strong FCA, and want to keep that going too.
Okay. Now, as we wind down, there are upcoming maybe activities. I know we're headed into the summer.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to planning and preparing for students to return. What message, or is there information you'd like to share with parents? Okay,
first message I'll say is that we do have early Cougar registration that will be sometime in late July. Last year we had about 50% of the school that registered during early Cougar registration. Those of y'all that have been through a middle school registration in the past know that it's a lot of long lines. It takes a while. Come to early Cougar, you can get it done really quickly.
Okay, and when is that?
I don't have the dates handy. It's it'll be, I'll put them on the website and I'll send it out through our Cougar chat though, and put it on the marquee.
Okay.
Next thing I would say for parents is, if you really want to enhance your child's summer, and I would recommend you do a couple things. Number one, this is coming from Mr. Giles. Number one, delete their Facebook page and all social networking pages. Delete them. They don't need those for the summer. They don't need them at all at the middle school level. Number two, take away their smartphone and computers for the summer. They don't need them during the summer. Number three, kick them out the door. Let them go outside. We have so many of our young people that spend so little time outside anymore. I think that it's not a good thing. Let's get them out from in front of the TVs and get them outside. And number four, carry them to your local library. Get them a library card, and to make use of the library services over the summer. Those are the four things that I recommend, and it always gets a strong response at Honors Day.
I'm sure.
But I feel very strongly about it, and truthfully, Tina, those things will cost you 1 penny to do. So if parents can make that commitment for the summer, I do believe they will enhance their child's lives.
Good. Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for joining me on the show today. I trust that our viewers learned so much more about Long Cane Middle School. And to you, our viewing audience, thank you for tuning in to LGTV. Thank you for sponsoring this program. And until next time, make it a great day.